Hey YouTube, TurtleAxe here, bringing you another AFK journey video. Today I'm going to talk about drill runs. Some people have asked me for optimal team formations when it comes to attacking Shadow Brutus, Shadow Odie, and then finally the Giant Golem. And basically I want to begin by talking about just the units I bring, what I keep top of mind when I bring in my 15 units to maximize my score. Absolutely, if you have a leader who is coordinating attacks where people above a certain power level hit the Shadow Brutus, Shadow Odie, and Golem, while the rest are focusing their attacks to creating a path, to get to those bosses, that would be ideal. What my guild did, what I asked everyone to do, is that basically the top 6 whales in my guild, we hold our attacks until we, the rest of the guild brings us to Shadow Brutus and Shadow Odie, as you see on this map. And we've been hitting Shadow Brutus. One thing you can do if you are totally unsure about what units to bring is to check the contribution, check the replays of your guildmates, and see what they've run to achieve their high score. So like Overzealous, who is a Giga Chad, by the way, who has a fraction of my power, maybe like I don't know, maybe 80% of my power, 75% of my power, and he often hits harder than me, is, he brings team compositions like this, where, he's bringing his Rainier in order to, increase the damage taken by the boss by 25%, combined with these really hard hitters like Odie, like Merrily, a shielder true damage dealer like Corrin, along with Coco to protect your units. One thing I do want to emphasize is that shielders like Coco, like Corrin, like Lucius are actually king against all 3 of these bosses, because if you take, for instance, Shadow Odie does have, as part of the kit, where he let me just show you here. So you can click on the boss and it'll tell you. Yeah, so here it says, launches normal attacks to the nearest target in priority. If the normal attacks hit a poisoned enemy, which, by the way, can be blocked by shield effects, the base damage of the target's dart poison is permanently increased by 70% up to 20 stacks. So basically, this mechanic incentivizes you to bring shielders like Coco, like Lucius, like Corrin, in order to mitigate this poison effect that can stack up to 20 times. This will prolong the life of your team so that they're not dying too early. And the same actually goes with the Giant Golem, who I can't really show you his kit right now because, I can't enter it yet. However, as part of his kit, I'll just tell you, as part of Giant Golem's kit, whenever the Giant Golem hits your units who does not have a shield, he will stun your allies for a couple seconds. So it's in your best interest to bring someone like Coco, someone like Lucius, to apply those shields. That way you don't get stunned from that crowd control attack. And then with Brutus, it's kind of a similar. Actually, Brutus is, I think, probably the easiest of the 3 bosses. He does have different attacks where, let me see if there's anything noteworthy. I think Shadow Brutus is more of a defensive unit. Yeah, so he has the ability to reduce your physical attack for X amount of seconds and can stun you. Yeah, so kind of like a vanilla character. Not really as threatening of a boss as Shadow Odie and also the robot. Okay, so now that I've talked briefly about their mechanics and the key units that you will want to bring for this particular drill run, now let's talk about the units that you bring. So whenever I think of the units that I bring, if I'm specifically creating my team, if, say for instance, you are watching this and you are a whale who has been assigned by your guild leader to basically bring 3 teams that hit hard against a single target unit like Shadow Brutus, Shadow Odie, or the robot, you're going to need to think about, basically, you want 3 teams that have 2 or 3 damage dealers, 1 shielder / healer, and then a solid tank, as well as 1 or 2 supports per team that can increase the damage taken by the enemy or shred physical defense or magic defense, something like that. So for me personally, I brought 3 different supports that follow the support role, which is Kruger, who is able to shred physical defense by 40%. We got Rainier, who is able to increase the damage taken by the enemy by 25%, as well as Thorin. Thorin, who with his season skill increases the damage taken by the enemy by 18%. And there are also honorable mentions such as Saturana, who increases the magic damage taken by the enemy by, I think, 16 or 17%, depending on how high your resonance level is. There's also like Florbell, actually. Florbell, I think, has something similar to that with her season skill. Yeah, increases the damage. Florbell does have a similar skill to Thorin. You know, if you look carefully, there's a ton of different units that, because of their season skill, actually increase the damage output of your characters. There's also other things to consider, such as Vala, who I saved up for when the enemy dips below 50% HP, because when they dip below 50% HP, Vala enters melee stance, which allows her to deal extra damage to enemies below 50%. So I have my Vala saved up for that. So I'm not going to use all of my attacks right now because I am trying to wait until, you know, I'm actually going to go to sleep after I record this. So, you know, I'll probably save the rest of my attacks for when I'm a couple of resonance levels higher. And that's the other tip I would recommend for drill runs is, like, you know, some people, they do hit their enemies in the drill runs, you know, at the start of the daily reset. But if you have the time to, towards the end before the daily reset, I do recommend doing so. What I typically recommend folks to do is, you know, AFK push as high as you can, then use your instant AFK refreshes, and then push a couple more levels of AFK stages until you can't push no more, and then finally, you know, get your last attacks in for the Dream Realm or for the drill runs in order to achieve a high score in both. Yeah, so, but anyways, I kind of digress there. This team that I'm bringing here is basically... So Temesia, with her Supreme Plus skill, she is able to apply Physical Defense Shred. Now, it's not a whole lot, it's just six stacks, but what you can do, actually, is you can swap with Merrily. The nice thing about Merrily is that with her season skill, she has like a pseudo Rainier ability where increases the damage taken by the enemy by, in this case, 12%. So... we'll go ahead and do this run. This is going to be one of our weaker runs of the three teams. That's why I'm bringing it now. And then we're going to run the Quick Blade spell because it shreds physical defense. So when forming teams like this, you know, as you can see, I have Corin as a shielder, I have Temesia as like a tank / physical defense shredder. I have Rowan to increase the energy of my team to get more frequent ults. And then I have Merrily as just a really solid damage dealer, and we have Florbell as also a damage dealer, as well as, you know, a support character. So let's go ahead and do this run. And then what our guild is doing, and what I forgot to mention, by the way, is that in terms of pathing, first you want to take out the perimeter, do all the attacks, open all the lanes for the perimeter, and take down all the towers, including the 2 towers in the corners where it gives you a team buff. And then afterwards, then do the quickest path to the first turret in the middle, take out those turrets, and then path your way to the Shadow Odie and the Shadow Brutus. Yeah, so this is one of my weaker teams, because I'm not running Kruger, I'm not running Rainier. But I'm still bringing in at least 2 units that have the ability to increase my damage output in different ways. So, and you can always, you know, check the graph to see how your units perform. That way you can kind of modify your team so that you have greater damage output. Yeah, and then you can kind of compare, you know, your performance there with other folks. That way, you know, you can kind of improve upon your previous score. Yeah, so always check the contribution from your guildmates if you find that you're kind of scoring less than your guildmates and you want to get better at the game. So like tries, okay, so I do see, you know, a lot of these guys are running Cassidy, Rainier, Odie, Coco, and Smokey. So you kind of, you know, see a pattern with all the heavy hitters. You know, they're, you know, you even, yeah, bringing Kruger, you know, bringing other units. So anyways, I hope that was informative. And then in terms of like other units that you can consider as well, you know, in terms of supports, you know, Cassidy's very good. Cassidy actually has incredible synergy with Florbell, so I probably should have combined Cassidy with Florbell, so that was a mistake on my part. but it's okay. And then you got Smokey as an offensive healer support. You got Lucius to apply shields to your entire party. You got Coco to apply shields to your entire party. You got Shakir for high physical damage, and yeah, and then other honorable mentions, like I mentioned before, Satorana with her season skill if you're attacking from the magic side. Now, in terms of other, like let's say for instance, you're in charge of taking out the turrets where there's 5 units, then bringing an Aaron team that consists of, like a Thorin, a Damien, Aaron, Ard, and Carolina. That could be quite potent in taking out, multiple units at once.